Hello everyone, welcome to Handy Research, a platform where we discuss not only medicine but the stories, struggles and the journey behind it. I'm your host Basanta Pathak. Today conversation will be going to be a little different. It's not just interview but the conversation and the real honest. Today we have someone who successfully navigated one of the most demanding journey in the medicines. Yes, that's USMLE journey. USMLE is not just exam. For medical students, it's a risk, strategy, sacrifices, and sometimes it becomes the test of identity. In today's episode, we will break down everything in detail: the cost, strategy, time schedules, mistakes, mindset, and the life lesson behind this journey. Thank you so much for being here. It truly means a lot.
Thank you so much for having me.
So before we get into all serious stuff, let's just start casually. How has your day been?
It's been pretty good. Yeah.
And how have the last few days been for you?
Magical.
Magical.
If there would be one word, that would be magical, yes.
That's really nice to hear. I think people often see the end results and they don't know how the days been you suffering from or like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what daily life actually looks like behind it. But I want to take things a bit back now. Before
Okay.
all of this success, before you have mass, how did your journey toward USMLE begin?
That was many years ago, but I remember when we came into our med school, the first books that we were introduced to, they were all written by American authors. So, that was basically the first step to an exposure towards the medical system in the US. And, when we came into our third year, we started studying pharmacology and pathology and all of those things. So I remember we used to study from Kaplan and Pathoma and all of
Yes.
those things. Basically the handbooks of USMLE, right?
Yeah.
So that was something that, really piqued my interest. And I just wanted to explore a little bit more about USMLE, and, one thing led to another. And here we are.
Wow, that's really interesting because I think many students didn't have the initial moment of clarity, like which field they need to choose and like that. So, was there any specific mentor or is there any turning point that you think that now you are going to pursue USMLE and this journey?
I don't think there was one turning point. I think it was definitely one thing leading to another. Just like I mentioned from the start, I was exposed to the American literature pretty early,
Yeah.
and then going on and on studying medicine and the guidelines that were basically guided by the American systems. So all those things added up into my idea of pursuing USMLE as a career goal.
Okay. Actually, you are surrounded by all the things that actually push you towards this journey.
Correct.
Okay. One honest questions.
Mhm.
Why don't you choose your country over that path?
You know what? This is a very interesting question. I am a Pakistani, and this country has given me a lot. But at the same time, because we sort of come into our med schools competing with tens of thousands of people when we do the admission tests and everything. So coming from that into a med school keeps kind of gives you a push to do the best that you can. So once you're in this competition, you have already competed with the people in your own country, and now it's time basically for you to compete with the world. So that
Okay.
was something that motivated me to go for these exams and try to compete with the whole world actually. So that's basically the reason why I chose this pathway. When it comes to why not my own country, of course, certainly down the line everybody has a plan to serve their own country, and I think I have something too, but maybe I can do something valuable first and bring that to my country, and that would be a good idea, right?
Do you know why I asked this question to you?
Mhm.
Because this is not the problem over Pakistan as well. This is the problem over whole Asia. Like, I'm from Nepal and I moved to the Pakistan for my MBBS journey, and I don't know in coming years where I will move there now. So every Asian are moving in the Europe and US.
Right.
So what do you think? What is lack in our country? Why we are not satisfied in our country, or why? Because when I think like that, we are the best graduate over the country.
Correct.
We are getting the good marks and the top marks in our MCAT and in our FSC in 11th, 12th and 10th. We are all the toppers. And even we are all the toppers and the country are unable to keep us in our own country.
Okay.
So is the country failure, or what do you think?
I mean, it's more of a combination, you know. So, for example, the countries in Europe and in the US and, you know, the West majorly, they kind of glamorize everything, you know. So the medical profession is glamorized over there. Everything is, you know, sort of glorified.
Yeah.
So we, being in our young age, we typically get attracted to it, right?
Yes, of
and at the
course.
same time over here, you know, the kind of motivation that we get to be able to do our best when we go to other countries, that is another driving force. So, you know, because of the same reason, whenever we go to these countries, we are among the top physicians over there as well. You know, people from Asia, people from Nepal, people from India, people from Pakistan. So, I mean, that is something good. I would always count it as something good rather than something that actually, pushes us away from our country. I think it kind of gives us a jump, and that's a big blessing. Honestly, you know, we are one of the most effective diasporas over there, and I think we should be very proud of it.
So it is the combination of the push or pull both factor.
Correct.
Nice. That's powerful, and I think a lot of people relate that uncertainty. Now jump into the another questions. When students think about going abroad, it's not just US. Like there are PLAB examinations, AMC, and UAE as well.
Right.
So why US over all over the country?
I mean, you know, this is a very difficult question. I mean, you have to be away from your country in all these pathways. But at the same time, you know, if you are going to be away from your country, why not choose, you know, the place that is the best, right?
Based on it.
So, I mean, everybody has their reasons of ranking, you know, whatever pathway they choose as the best one. But I mean, for me, if a pathway is leading you to become a world leader in your field, I think that pathway has to be the best, right? So, you know, all over the world, the guidelines from the American colleges, they are typically followed. I mean, about 20-30 years ago, it was the guidelines from the Royal College, for example, but now they are from American colleges. So I think we have to respect that, and probably that's why I chose for USMLE, and that's why probably most of the people choose for USMLE as well.
Okay, you make yourself clear like why you choose the USMLE.
Correct.
Okay, now coming to preparation, which is where most students feel overwhelmed.
Right.
So can you briefly explain how do you start the preparation of the step 1 and step 2?
Right. So once you are motivated that you have to do it, and you start, just don't give up.
Yeah,
that is the number one thing that I think everybody has a consensus on this. That, you know, if you don't give up, you're going to make it.
Yeah.
So there's that. At the same time, it may get a bit overwhelming, as you just mentioned, because there's a lot of things that you have to cover. There's a lot of resources available. There's just a lot of stuff to do, right?
Yes.
So in that case, maybe, you know, you can get some guidance from the people who have been in your shoes before, and just try to see what suits you. One thing that really sort of becomes a hurdle, I would say, or, you know, something that would cause frustration while you're studying for these exams is that everybody has their opinions. There's going to be an opinion A, opinion B, opinion C, and the worst part is none of these opinions is wrong. You know,
of course.
Every opinion is right, but it is, you know, basically personalized to each and everyone who is pursuing these pathways, right? So you have to choose for yourself whatever suits you. You can probably pick that up and just, you know, start going with that. And if you find anything, you know, that is not suitable for you, you can just find it on your own. But that is basically something that you have to keep in mind while you're preparing for these, you know, very hard exams.
Absolutely. Just you mentioned like the consistency and discipline could break any stones.
Correct.
In your life. Okay, thank you. So could you briefly explain what resources did you follow for the step 1 and followed up to the step 2?
Right. So my preparation was very basic. You know, so what we see in USMLE step 1 and step 2 is we follow Pathoma. We go for first aid, and then there's UWorld. You know, these are the basic 3 things. And if you are still having problems with some things, any weaknesses, any of those things, maybe you could, for that particular thing, you can explore other resources. For example, you could do YouTube videos, you could do the long lecture, you could do the short lecture, sketchy. There's just a whole bunch of resources that are available.
Yes.
But these are the three basic resources. One mistake that a lot of people do is, including myself, I did the same mistake. It was at the start of my preparation, I used to listen to like 2 hours, 3 hours lectures by Kaplan or Dr. Najib for topics that I really knew well, just because they were, sort of addictive.
Okay.
So I think I was wasting time over there, So that is something that I would really advise, that, just try to not do unless you really need you really feel that you need to actually work on those things. Only then you should explore further on those particular topics.
Okay, you mentioned that time matter the most.
Yes.
Absolutely. So you mentioned me UWorld, and everybody fascinated by the UWorld now. Like they practice UWorld and UWorld for the USMLE. How
Right.
did you tackle the UWorld? Like first aid or UWorld, or how did you tackle it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had a very simple formula. So especially for step 1, first aid is the basic resource.
Okay.
But first aid is a very, very volatile book, right?
Yeah.
So in order to remember each and every sentence of that particular book, you have to use first aid just to reinforce the concepts.
Yes.
You have to use the U word to reinforce the concepts. So that was basically my strategy, to basically learn first aid with the help of U word.
Okay. So did you make any kind of flashcards or Anki? Because there is a trend of Anki in my class as well, and every people like follow the Anki. So did you follow that?
Honestly, I did not use any Anki flashcards. I did make my own flashcards at the very end.
Okay.
For the topics that I thought that I wasn't doing very well on. So for those, I used flashcards at the very end, but not in the start or even in the middle of my preparation. I mean, everybody has their own way of studying, and my way of studying did not involve any flashcards.
Oh, nice to hear that someone who didn't use the flashcards
Yes.
or Anki. Okay, can you tell me your daily routines before and during your dedicated phase, like when you feel like this is the time I need to do and I need to do in this time. So wow, what was your daily routine at that time?
Right. So I mean, dedicated period is typically, it may vary from person to person, but it typically is between 8 weeks to 10 weeks, right?
Okay.
For most of the people. Maybe sometimes some people have it for 6 weeks, but keeping in mind your exam time, you should definitely start your day by 8 o'clock in the morning. And because your exam is going to start at 8, right? So at that time, just start by doing UWorld so that your brain is trained for attempting questions in the first 2 or 3 hours. And then, later on you can, keep studying whatever book or whatever resources that you're going to do. If you do flashcards, do flashcard. If you do first aid, whatever you need to do. But at least the first 2 or 3 hours of the day should be questions.
Okay.
Just do your Q bank or whatever resource that you're using for your questions. And try to get maybe 100 questions a day in the morning. So just use the questions as an eye opener, I would say.
Wow, that's honestly very insightful. And hearing real experience from the people who already mastered make the people or the students who follow that path realistic actually.
Right.
So one area people really underestimate or don't care, I don't think like that, but they just don't think like in the financial side of this pathway. Most people underestimate this pathway. So what is the approximate total cost of the USMLE, and could you briefly tell every step cost wise distribution as well?
Sure. So the total cost of USMLE may range from between $9,000 to maybe $90,000. You could spend as much money as you would like, but at the same time, if you break it down, you could typically break it down into modifiable costs and non-modifiable costs. So for example, an exam fee is going to be a non-modifiable cost, right?
Yes.
So, if you keep your exam, step 1, step 2, step 3, your certification, OET exam, all these things in mind, it would roughly cost you around 4,000. So that is something that is non-negotiable. You have to pay, right? At the same time, when you do your application, you could do it, if you apply to a certain number of programs, you could be done in like $4,000, So that could be done, or you could apply to 300 programs, and that would sort of triple your amount. So, it is kind of how you want to do that. But, typically if you apply to about 100 programs or something like that, you could easily get done in within $4,000. So, there's that. That's how you can cut your costs. And, the third major expense would be your rotations, medical rotations. So if you get paid rotations, that's going to be extra cost, right? If you're getting rotations at places where you don't know anybody, you're going to be paying for rent. So there's that. If you have your rotations planned in a way that you have to travel a lot, the cost is going to rise. So you have to keep that in mind. So for example, if you go for your rotations at places where you know people, the only money you're paying is the ticket.
Yeah.
But if you go to places where you're getting a paid rotation, you're paying for the rotation, you're paying for the rent, you're paying for your food, you're paying for traveling, all of those combined, it could cost you very a lot of money basically. So that's how you basically manage your cost for USMLE pathway.
That's extremely valuable, because many students don't plan financially early, and you already break down every cost management, and you also said that how to manage it in a low cost.
Right.
And you just mentioned that we can manage that in $9,000. I'm amazed. I didn't ever think like that, and I thought that USMLE journey could easily cost you above $20,000. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Now every journey comes with the struggles. People often see the results, but we know that the people who get that suffer from all the struggles, sacrifices. So what was the hardest phase for you?
If I had to pinpoint the hardest phases, the whole journey is not easy at all.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, maybe a couple of the top 2 hardest phases, that would be number 1, getting a visa. That was something very very frustrating.
Yeah.
Reason being that nothing is in your control basically. For exams, you may study and you are going to go write the exam, so you kind of are answerable. But with the visa process, it's not in your control basically. So that was something that the uncertainty associated with it, that was pretty hard for me. Number 1. And number 2, of course, while you're in the US and you're doing your rotations, you're managing life at the same time, that kind of becomes very hard initially. But as you go along, you kind of learn your things, how to manage your life outside of work, how to manage your life inside of work, and how to manage your social life, all of those things basically.
Of course.
So these are the 2 things that were probably the hardest part of my journey. And I think everybody you're going to ask, they're probably going to point out these 2, at least one of these things as the hardest part of their journey.
And anyway, you made it, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Do you ever feel like giving up in the phase of journey when you are sad, when you plan all the things and suddenly it collapses and you feel like, why it's so hard for me? And do you ever feel like giving up?
You know what, just before I mashed, I did actually plan to give up, but it was not like give up. It was more like, this is probably going to be my last shot. So this kind of motivated me to, take the last shot and make it count. So, if you ever feel like giving up, just give yourself a chance and, just try to sort of give this last shot a really nice go. And, maybe you'll hit it out of the park. Who knows?
Wow. Thank God you made it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to talk about this, because people often see the result and didn't see the struggle behind it. They must know what's the struggle is it.
Yes.
So I have one question. If you have power to restart everything from today, where you were on the starting point.
Right.
Do you do anything differently?
Maybe a couple of things.
What
so,
could
you
they
know,
be?
So just as I mentioned, I would probably stop doing those 2 hours, 3 hours lectures
Okay.
on things that I already know.
Uh-huh.
So that would save me quite a lot of time. Number one, and number two, of course, I would try to take care of my physical health while I'm studying, because it actually takes a toll on your physical health. Let alone mental health. Of course, it's going to take a toll on your mental health, but the physical health, nobody talks about that.
Of course.
When you're studying, if you're sitting on your desk for like 8, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you're not doing anything, you're not moving around.
Yes.
You're just stressed out about that. So it's probably a good idea to like at least give yourself half an hour, maybe 20 minutes a day, and give your body some time.
I can feel my back pain right here now as well, and you really make my mind clear. Like I have to focus on my physical health as well.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Okay, let's make this practical for students right now who are listening.
Right.
What students should start? When students should start this journey? Like, what is the right time to start? Do you think anything is the right time? Because I have heard a lot of people who started after MBBS and gave their step 1 and step 2 in a single year and apply and get matched as well. So I don't think there is any right time, because as you have already said, that consistency and discipline is one of the major things that could make you success. But anyway, do you think that is there any right time a student should start this journey?
No, I totally agree with you. There is no right or wrong time for anything. You can just start whenever you want, whenever you feel motivated, basically. So if you start in your 3rd year or 4th year, that's like pretty early in your career, right? But you're not motivated enough. You're just going to be wasting time. So the best time would be when you can actually dedicate, because doing your USMLE step 1 and step 2 and step 3, it's basically you're going to be dedicating your life to it.
Okay. Yes,
for
of course.
those 1 or 2 or 3 years, whatever time it may take, right? So if you're able to dedicate your life during that time for those exams, I think that is the best time to start for it. I wouldn't say when you have graduated, that's a good time. When you have gotten into your 3rd year or 4th year, that's a good time. It depends on everybody. It's a personalized decision, but whenever you're motivated enough, I think that's the best time for everybody, and everybody knows what their timeline is going to be.
Wow. The real thing is motivation.
Correct.
That's really insightful. Beside step 1 and step 2, there are a lot of things like collaborating things, research, CV, and electives, rotations like that. All of things I think matters. So how could you rate that thing, and how could you say that which thing matter most, or which thing need to be done at what time? Can you clarify?
Sure. So I wouldn't say there's a particular time for everything. You can typically start doing your research pretty early in your med school, and just keep building on that. And at the same time, you can get your exams done early, and then do the rotations later. But at the end, when you submit your application, your CV should be very well-rounded. That's very important. So a well-rounded CV typically means that you have worked hard in basically everything, and you are a very versatile personality, and all the employers kind of like that versatility. So if you have clinical experience, maybe a lot of clinical experience, and you have no research, that may go a little bit against you. But if you have a little bit of a research, a little bit of a clinical experience, at the same time a little bit of volunteer experience, maybe average scores would actually get you a position.
Okay.
So,
nice.
it is kind of like that with your CV, number one. And number two, of course, how well your CV is written. So if you have elaborated very nicely your experiences, that is actually going to give you an edge on someone who has done a brilliant work, but he has not actually elaborated that on a piece of paper. That is the CV.
Okay, everything matters.
Correct.
Okay, Handy Research is providing you the research courses as well. So if you want to take the courses, just join the Handy Research. Okay, now I want to shift away from all the exams and the scores.
Correct.
How has this journey changed you a person?
You know, that's a very, very interesting question. And I mean, it was a journey of self-discovery. I wouldn't say it was not.
Wow, what a
Um,
line. It's a journey of self-discovery.
It is. It is. So after all that, after studying for my exams and going through this journey, I am. I think I am more of a self-critic now. I am more humble. I do accept my mistakes more now. So that is something that has changed in me after going through all this journey, basically, and it has made me realize that I am not perfect, and I am basically a work in progress, basically. So it's. I think it's very important to realize that you are a work in progress all the time, and there's always space for improvement.
Wow. I think the struggle and the hard journey always make the people humble because they have seen all the struggles, all the risks, and that hardships,
Mm.
and make them feel like humble. There is one saying in Nepali as well, like "Foleko hagur nyuram cha." It means in English, uh, the tree with lot of fruits always go down.
Mm. That's
So-
right.
Can I ask you, like, what does success mean to you now? Like, you have achieved what you dream in your early life.
Mm.
Now, what do you think? What success mean to you now?
Success. I mean, it's a whole evolving process. So, when I was doing my step exams, maybe getting an 80% on UWorld was a great success for me. And then, when I was doing my match season and during the interviews, getting an interview was a big success for me.
Okay.
But, I think right now, the success for me would be to get, to actually be able to tell my story. And, to be able to inspire others and to be at an esteemed podcast as yourself, to tell others what they can do better, what they can learn from my mistakes, because I mean, imparting others what I have learned from my experience, I think that's a big success for me right now.
Thank you. We are glad, like, we are the first one to explore your journey,
Thank
to
you.
explore your success. Okay. What I think, like, success is just state of mind.
Mhm.
In my view, when we think when we think, like, in my mind, I always think like I will retire on my age of 40.
Hmm.
When I was class 10, I thought, like, if I got 4 GPA, there was GPA system in Nepal, and if I got 4 GPA, then it is enough for me. I will do anything I like from then.
Hmm.
But when I got 4 GPA, then it seems like a little bit things like, yes, I can achieve that. Now I need to pursue more.
Right.
I need to pursue more.
Right.
So that state of mind always push you over and over and over again. And now I am in medical school, and I don't know when that mean of success will be finally satisfied.
Hmm.
But right now, what I'm thinking, like, if I ever have a chance, I will define my own success. I will do farming in my homeland,
Right.
and I will live my life in a more peaceful way.
Hmm.
This is one of my definition of success, like with education and academic part of my life, that is in MBBS. I did a little bit side hub, or not a side hub, it's my hobby, like to communicate with the new people and to communicate with the people from different country.
Hmm.
And this is success to me as well.
Hmm.
I don't know how much it will earn me, and I don't know how much I will succeed in my later life from this.
Hmm.
But right now, while I'm talking with you, this is success for me.
I mean, you know what? This is actually a very nice outlook on life. That learning from others' experiences
Yes.
and actually getting to meet a lot of people, because after all, being a human, we are social animals, right?
Okay.
And keeping this in mind, your definition of success, I think it's a pretty good one.
Thank you. Thank you. I am also learning, and I'm in 4th year.
Mm.
I will learn from you, and I will learn from others.
For sure.
Maybe success, the definition of success might be changed, but right now it really fascinates me, my definition.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, now all right, let's lighten things up. Let's do one or two rapid questions.
Okay.
Which one is harder, step one or step two?
Step one.
Wow, I got the different answer this time. You all are first aid.
You world.
One habit that changed your life.
Talking less, listening more.
Nice. Biggest mistakes students should avoid.
Taking shortcuts.
Mind blowing. I got the best answer from you. I got the best possible answer. Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, before we end, I always ask one question to everyone.
Mhm.
If I and you were to die today, what message you could leave to the world?
You know, that's that's a nice self-discovery podcast that you're having right now. But I mean, maybe one message that I would like to give everybody is that in the end, everything makes sense, and if it doesn't make sense, then the story is not over yet.
Wow, wow, wow. You just give me the question mark. I think I need to explore more. You just give me the question mark. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Okay, that's beautiful, truly powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again for joining us today and sharing your incredible journeys, wisdom, and advice with everyone listening. I genuinely believe this conversation will help countless students who are navigating their own USMLE journey and searching for guidance. And to everyone listening, remember that every great achievement begins with one decision to start. This has been Inspired Research Minds, and we will see you in next episode.